Imagine the place you live getting hit by one of those tornadoes last Wednesday and the only warning siren in town doesn't work. That's exactly what happened in the Floyd County community of Rudd, population about 360 people. We're the first meteorologist Nathan Santo Domingo with us. And Nathan, you went to Rudd earlier this week. The only way that siren worked was somebody literally standing there and holding the button down. You talked to the man that made that happen and probably saved lives in the process.
Yeah, Mitch, as the tornado rolled through town, Tyler Hicks was the man tasked with triggering the only tornado siren in town. Usually it's as simple as pressing that button, but on a record-setting night of tornadoes in Iowa, Hicks had to go above and beyond to keep the siren running. 1 week ago, the sound of tornado sirens wailed across the small town of Rudd in Floyd County. But what many didn't know at the time was getting the sirens to sound that night was anything but easy.
Got home and, the skies were starting to get dark and stuff, and the family and I, we kind of hung out, ate supper.
This is Tyler Hicks, a volunteer firefighter with the Rudd Community Fire Service.
I was looking outside and I saw there were some flashes of lightning and thunder coming. And I told the wife, I said, it'd probably be a good idea if I head on down to the fire station.
As storms barreled towards town, Hicks and his fellow firefighters sprang into action. When the National Weather Service issued a tornado warning for Rudd, his job was to trigger the siren, usually done by the touch of a button. But on this unusually warm December night, alerting his town became anything but easy.
I don't know if it was just a coincidence that when I went down there to push the button, the only one that worked was one that you had to sit there and hold down, and I did it.
Hicks pressed the button and started recording. A Snapchat he'd send to friends and family, an EF1 tornado seconds away from touching down.
That's where it kind of started getting real western. After you can hear the sirens start powering down there in the video, that's when it was actually removed from the ground and deposited a couple blocks away, I believe.
Here sits the city's storm siren, dinged and dented, nothing but a few splinters left on the pole on which it once stood. Hicks says he hopes he can keep the siren control panel as a memento from that night, but he also says to him, he's no hero. He was just doing his job.
Whether it's, helping an old lady cross the street or sounding a fire alarm in a tornado or going into a burning house to save somebody, you signed up for it, that's your job, you better do it.
1 week later, Rudd sits quietly, streets passable, but scars from the twister easily visible. Hicks says the real heroes are the volunteers from Rudd and around the area that showed up when his town needed it most.
It really shows a sense of unity, I think, among the community, and seeing everybody join together to help out, basically, your neighbor next door. I mean, it's truly great to see, small town Iowa in action right there.
Definitely is. I feel like we hear that story so many times here in eastern Iowa. I also reached out to the Rudd City Hall to find out what the plan is to get them a new tornado siren. Haven't heard back just yet, but we'll certainly keep you updated once we know more. They